Hi everyone, I'm Tracy Mode, and today I wanted to come on here and do something I've been wanting to do. Out on my walk the last few days, I've noticed these beautiful lilacs, and I thought it would be really fun to paint them, of course, whenever I see stuff out there, flowers like this, it just inspires me to paint. So with a subject like this, there's so many tiny little details. You could get caught up in that, but I really want to just do this spontaneously, slap down some color, splatter some color, and just see where this goes. I really actually like the way that looks, the design of them in that way. So maybe we'll focus on doing it that way. I better get them back in the water. And then, oh my goodness, they smell so good too. They smell so beautiful. I would love to have a lilac, but I've never had enough space for a bush that gets that big. All that aside, let's get started. I've got a little sheet of paper. I don't know. I just have all kinds of sizes laying around because I cut down my sheets. And so this is just a perfect size. It's not too small. I feel like when you do a spontaneous painting, you need some space. So if you're working on a small sheet of paper, it's harder to be loose and fluid. So I want to be loose and fluid with this, and that's why I chose this paper. So I'm going to be using some core watercolors today, and I'm going to mix up some purples. Let's see, I'll bring my little round palette up here for the purpose of showing you. I've got phthalo blue green shade. It doesn't look green, but it is leaning on that. Ultramarine blue, there's some quinacridone magenta, some Hansa yellow light. I may need more of that, but I don't have a lot of green in this painting, so I didn't put a big glob of it on my palette. What I need to do is get some of my empty wells and put my core colors into there, so I have a designated spot for just those. So yeah, let's mix up some beautiful purples, violets, red violets, and I'm going to get the puddles going and kind of let them maybe even flow into each other, because I want to grab some of each. Look how beautiful that is. How beautiful it is mixed with the magenta. And ultramarine blue is going to give me a nice purple too, but it might be just a little bit different. So that's why I've got all three there. I want to just have some variety. And there is a lot of red violet in this, and so I'm going to go with that. And let's get a little bit of the green. Let's see. Get that nice and diluted so I can mix my blue in there. And let's go with the ultramarine on that and mix it to one side so I have a little of the brighter yellow and a little of the green there. So in doing this painting, I'm going to set that over here. Hopefully you can still see it. And I've got this little cheapo spray bottle that I got from Winco, and I'm just going to barely tap in my water. So these little spray bottles that have this handle lever are really nice. I have this mister, but it's really hard to get just a drip or two because it's not designed that way, I guess. So I'm just gonna, I can see on my paper where these little driplets are, and I've got, because of the way this sprayer is designed, maybe it's because it's cheap, I don't know. But I've got some bigger droplets and I've got some smaller droplets. And I'm going to get my clean water to start. I have green, so I don't want to be starting with dirty water. And I'm just going to grab this little, my favorite little brush to splatter is this Eldorado by Holbein. I've said it before in videos. I can't find it anymore, and it's too bad because it's the greatest brush for splattering. So I'm just gonna splatter where my water, look at that, isn't that gorgeous? I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so you can have a closer look at that and not worry about the palette so much. You see the colors that I started with, so I am simply, I'm excited about that. That's really pretty. Now I just got a little bit more of the red part, a little bit more diluted. And I am trying to direct it toward where I sprayed my clean water. Let's get a little more blue. Look at how cool that is. A little bit more red mixed in there. Still need to get a little bit more diluted. I don't dilute it too much because I've got so much water in the droplets on the paper. So I kind of intentionally am staying with a little thicker concentration of pigment. Let's see if we can get a little bit more. And then I can come in with my mister and let some of those flow a little bit more together. Look at how beautiful that is. And see how I can direct the flow of that paint where the water goes. And then I think this would be a good time, let's see, actually to splatter a little bit more thicker pigment in here. And use my brush to spread around some of that color. Look at that. How pretty. A little bit more splatters. And then I can add kind of try to pay attention to the shape of my leaf. Just let it bleed into that. I want a little bit more blue. Get some red here too, some of that magenta. That green, the green stems are a little bit on the brown side or red side, so that's why I did that. A little bit more yellow in there. See, I didn't put enough Hansa yellow out there. This is very wet still, so I can still work with it. Once it starts to dry, it's a little trickier. Let me get the Hansa yellow. I really like how that's flowing together. So I've got more Hansa, and I think I would like to touch in a little bit up there of the green, just a little here and there. Let that flow together a little bit. Look how that's flowing right in there. That's really pretty. Let's get a little bit more of the red violet in there. This is a pretty good brush for splatters as well. And I could drop it in like this as well instead of splattering, control it a little bit more. That's kind of fun. Maybe there's some of those buds up here that are a little bit more of a concentrated color because they're still coming out. Don't tell anybody, but I picked these flowers from a nearby park. I don't have a yard. I have nice pots and stuff, but I don't have anywhere to grow these beautiful bushes like this lilac. That's really pretty. And this is still wet, so it softens, which I really like. It's not so dry that it doesn't spread. So I want to grab my little number 2 here and get some of this green working into my colors here before it gets too dried out. This is a really fun way to paint. It pretty much is painting itself. I'm just touching in color. So once you get a really good idea, or don't even wait until you get a good idea of how to do this, start practicing. And I know my hand is up there in the way. I apologize for that. And as this dries even more, I want to add some more splatter. Again, with thicker mixture of paint because I want it to stand out more. If it's too diluted, it's just going to spread and get lost in there. So there's my ultramarine blue. I want some of that really deep in there. Pretty thick. It's not really, it's pretty sluggish on my palette. Might have to touch it in a little bit. And move to a different brush, one with a little bit more of a point on it. And I want more of that quinacridone. We've got another puddle over there, so let me get a little bit of that. Much more concentrated. I really like some of this that's going on in there. I think in here, I might even want to add some water splatters to cause some intentional watermarks. And I'm going to follow the pattern of some of those deeper areas and just strengthen them up a little bit. And watch how that water just pulls the paint into it. It's really cool. Little splatters here. Let that bleed out a little bit. Look at that. Isn't that fun? That's really cool. That looked cool. Okay, I'm gonna let this dry and come back and see what else we can do. That was really fun. So hold tight and let's come back and see what we can do to finish this little piece up. So this is pretty fun. I like what happened here. I like a lot of the colors I got and how the blue settled in, and I did blot some of this out when I had the camera off, so apologize for that. But I'm going to do a little negative painting is what I decided. Some of this down here just seems like I could make it into more of the shape of those flowers. I don't think that worked very well on that one. Come along. Just going to come in. They have kind of this curve, or the 4 petals. So I'm going to work, see if I can't get that to look like I could see it. And even, oh, this is a fun thing to do. Where's my white? I've done this before where put a little bit of white in there, drop in a little bit of color into that. This is titanium white, so it's pretty opaque. It should let some of that color come through. Actually like the way that looks. Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to drop in a little bit of water to kind of spread that around. See a little flower in there. So I'm kind of pulling out places that I see kind of a natural flower, some of those lighter parts. Up in there, I don't have a lot of dark area to go over, but down in here, I can certainly find areas that I can touch in some of this white. I'm going to add a little bit of color to it in here. Pretty random here, just adding brush strokes in there of the white. And then I can come back in around that, strengthen it a little bit. Splatter a little bit more to get some depth. Go in a little more of that quinacridone magenta. It is a tongue twister. Quin magenta. quinacridone magenta. Sometimes hard to say, especially if you're me and you have trouble talking. So I'm going to get some of that pure just mixed up and sprinkle some of that over the top. Look at how that adds such dimension there. And I want to get a little of the quinacridone Gold Deep. I have some right here. That reminds me of burnt orange, but I want to put that here with my phthalo blue and get a deeper green with a little bit of the Hansa and add some touches of stems in here. Don't afraid to have a little bit of movement in your work. That's a little bit too much on the green side. Movement gives our work life. That paintbrush is a little too big. So I'm gonna go with my little number 2, and I added more of the Gold Deep to that. That's better. And just dabbed off a little excess. Oops, put that aside. Because I want it to be a little bit more subtle up in here. Add some, I like the yellow, the Hansa yellow. I like it a little bit yellower some places. Some places the stems are deeper into the flower. Some of them are a little bit more hit by the sun. Maybe that's a little too light. There we go. Just play around with this. This leaf I'm not so sure about. I kind of thought adding a little bit of an extra one down here, just real lightly. Suggest another one. Maybe a little bit more blue on that. Kind of get it pushed back a little bit. Maybe a little bit more down in here. I don't want to get too carried away. This is just a fun little piece, but little touches here and there add. You get too carried away, they start taking away, but we're gonna just add a couple more and strengthen up some of the little centers of these flowers. I love the splatters. They do that by themselves, so I don't really need to do too much else. Actually, I really like that. I think I'll leave that alone. Yeah, I think I had thought about adding some ink around this. I don't know if I want to, but maybe let's let it dry and take a look at doing that. Okay, so I am going to do that because since we're talking about having fun and experimenting, why not just throw some ink down on this? And I'm using a Micron number 8 Pigma Micron archival ink. I really want to try some other inks, but I haven't found what I want yet. So let's just try this. This is a cold press arches. It's got a little bit of texture to it, so it might be I might need to use a little bit of extra pressure, but I'm just gonna start going around some of it. I'm not gonna get too carried away, but I think it's kind of fun to add a little ink. All right, you guys, what do you think about that? Let's, I like the ink. I'm glad I did that. So I'm really glad that I went ahead and put the ink around it. I think it really added something to this painting, and I like the way that turned out. One thing I do like to do at the end of painting is put a little mat. I have several size mats in my studio just ready to plop on my paintings, and I like seeing that finished look. It really kind of validates it, I guess. But this is a cute little piece, and it was really fun to do. So I encourage you guys to just get out your paints and paper, start splashing on the color, splattering on the color, and spritzing and just having fun. Put the tarps in your studio or area that you're painting and just go for it. Anyway, until next time, you guys, happy painting. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, don't forget to hit subscribe. And I really appreciate all of you who have subscribed to my channel. It's really a blessing. So thank you so much for your support. And until the next video, take care. Happy painting. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.